In this video, we'll be hunting a couple penny boxes. We'll be looking for any wheat cents from 1958 or earlier. We'll also be looking for any foreigns, proofs, heirs or varieties, or any other cool things we can find. We do have one ender if you haven't spotted it already. It's right here in the first box, and it's a wheat cent reverse. So we'll reveal the date when we get to that roll, and I'll start the hunt with the box on the left, and I'll bring you in when we have our first find. Roll 2, and it's not really a find, but it's kind of funny. I noticed some junk in the roll, and it's a sticker on a penny. I think it's also from Frozen. That's pretty interesting. Haven't even started hunting the roll yet. I just looked down. I was so focused on that. Didn't notice that we actually have right here, we have a wheat cent, and there's also a Canadian back there. Wait, that's another wheat cent actually. And then there's Canadian right there. So this is wheat cent number 1, 1949 out of Philly. Wheat cent number 2, same roll, 1942 Denver. And then Canadian back here. It's from 1992 commemorative. Still on the same roll, and we're only a couple coins later. We already revealed number 3, wheat cent out of the roll. It's a 1952 out of Denver. This roll's kind of crazy. This is unbelievable. We're still on the same roll, and I just uncovered the 4th wheat cent. It's a 1944 out of Denver. This is crazy. This is unbelievable. We're still on the same roll, and I just uncovered wheat cent number 5, and it's an old one with a mint mark. Haven't really seen it yet. That's a 1918 San Francisco. 5 wheat cents in one roll, and one's a 1918 S. Hopefully the whole box is this good. Roll 5, and we're going to have the second Canadian cent of the box. In the middle of the roll right here. It's a 1981. Next roll, roll number 6, and we're going to have another wheat cent. It's going to be the 6th of the box. See the reverse right here. Doesn't look like it's going to be too old. It's a 1945 out of Denver in decent shape. Same roll, and we have another pre-40s wheat cent with a mint mark. I just uncovered it, and it's a 1937 out of San Francisco. This box could be epic. Still on the same roll, and we have another wheat cent. It's not a pre-40 sadly, but it is a 1946 out of San Francisco. It's weird, all the wheat cents have been in rolls 2 and 6, and we already have 8 of them, so that's pretty weird. Roll 10, and we have the 3rd Canadian of the box. And let's see what year it's from. 1985. Roll number 11, and we're already going to have wheat cent number 9 of the box. This box is doing really well. We already have about the number of wheat cents I like to get for a full box. We're only 11 rolls in. And this one's a 1952 out of Philly. Same roll, and we're going to already have double-digit wheat cents because just a few coins into hunting it, just uncovered a 1942 out of Denver. Roll 13 is going to be another roll with multiple wheat cents. It seems all the wheat cents we're getting are in rolls with other ones. See 2 reverses right there, and then that one looks old next to that reverse, so I might as well check it. And it is. It's a 1947 out of San Francisco. Now we'll check out both of these wheat cent reverses. This one is 1948 out of Philly. And then this one a few coins later is a 1952 out of Denver. This box is awesome. Same roll, and we have the 4th wheat cent of roll number 13, and it's another old one with a mint mark. It's a 1936 out of Denver. Wow. Next roll, roll number 14, we have yet another wheat cent. This one is a 1951 out of Denver. Roll number 15, and I'm just going to hunt this whole roll live because I see a bunch of wheat cent edges, and I'm surprised with the amount of wheat cents we're getting that we only have this one ender. So I do see some. I'll sort the copper later. This one looks old. Wow. Look at that. This one's going to be probably a 20s or teens. And it's a teens. It's a 1914 Philadelphia. Wow. We still have more wheat cents to go in this roll. Next one. Yep, that's a wheat cent. 1946 out of Denver. Go back here. This one's in nice condition. See what the year on this one is? 1955 out of Denver in good shape. Then right behind it, 1949 out of Denver. Wow, who knows boxing is good. Now we have 2 in a row. Oh my gosh. It's a good condition 1953 Denver with the 1945 out of Philly. 62. Oh, there's one more. 1946 out of Denver again. That's it for the roll. Let's see how many wheat cents we got. 7 wheat cents, and one of them was a 1914 out of Philly. Oh my gosh. Yeah, roll number 16. I'm just going to make this a one-box hunt, because it's already going to be a long video. Because I see a wheat cent in this roll, and the one in front of it looks old as well. So I'll go for this wheat cent reverse first. 1958 out of Denver last year. And then this one looks like it's going to be really old and decent shape. That's a teens with a mint mark. The 1916 out of San Francisco. Oh my gosh. This is reminding me of the box that we got 95 wheats in, except this one's having a lot more old ones, and they all have mint marks. That's awesome. Roll 18, and you guessed it, we have another wheat cent. And this one is 1941 out of Philly. Same roll, a couple coins later, another wheat cent from the 40s. This one's another 1946 out of Denver. Should have kept the camera on because they're still in the same roll. Again, a couple coins later, and we have another 40s wheat cent. This one's a 1948 out of Denver. Roll 19, yet another wheat cent. I've noticed a lot of them have had this like light blue corrosion on it, and this one is a 1945 out of Denver. Roll 20, and I haven't even looked at the roll yet, but you know how I said a lot of those wheat cents have that light blue corrosion? This coin has it, and I'm going to see if I can just pull a wheat cent by the edge. Yeah, it is. It's a 1944 out of Philly. Roll 22, and we're of course going to have a few more wheat cents. Right when I laid out the roll, saw this one pop out. It's 1944 out of Denver. Then right here, I can see a date and a mint mark. 1949 San Francisco. And then there is a wheat cent reverse right here as well. This one, ooh, looks like it could be a little older as well. This one is a 1920 out of Philly. Same roll, and we have a pretty cool miscellaneous find. Look at that. It's a cross stamped through this penny. It's a big chunk of it missing. I've seen these before like online, but I've never found one. That's my first one, and that's pretty cool. Next row, roll 23, and I see a few more wheat cent reverses. One is one away from being an ender. This one looks like it's in pretty good shape. It's a 1952 out of Denver. And the next one is right here. This one is 1946 out of Denver. Been getting a lot of those. Then the last one is right here. This one is a 1944 out of Denver. Roll 24, and I think we're going to have at least a couple more wheat cents. See one right here. Some more of that light blue corrosion. This is a 1945 out of Philly. And then I see a couple more back here. One's an obverse, but it has that corrosion on it, so I think it might be. Yeah, it is. A 1936, another pre-40s. And then this one is the 1945 out of Denver. We're at roll 25, the halfway point of the box, and I'm going to do a halfway update since it's kind of hard to keep track of the amount of wheat cents. So far we have 38, and 7 of them are pre-40s, and a lot of them have mint marks. So far, this is being a really good box, and hopefully it keeps up the pace with the last half. Roll 26, and we're going to have the 4th Canadian of the box. Here. This one's from 1966. Next roll, roll 27, and I see the edge of another wheat cent right here. And it's from 1944 out of Denver. Roll 28 is another roll I'm just going to record live because I see so many wheat cent edges. So, this one's one. It's 1940 out of Denver. Then, here's one. This one looks pretty worn, so it could be another pre-40s. Oh, wow. A 1932 out of Denver, and I think that's a better date wheat cent. That's crazy. It's not one. Still can't believe we just got a 32D. Never found one of those before. Here's a next wheat cent. 1954 out of Denver. I'll look up the mintage of the 32D and say it in the next clip. Here we have a couple wheat cents right next to each other. 1945 out of Denver, along with 1944 out of, I think, Denver as well. Then, don't think we have any wheat cents in the rest of the roll, but yeah, that's it. 5 wheat cents in that roll, including a 1932 out of Denver, which I'll say the mintage of in the next clip. Roll 31, and I see the edge of another wheat cent here at the back of the roll. And it is a 1950 out of Denver. Same roll, and it was just one away from being an ender. Just one coin covering it. Another wheat cent. It's a 1944 out of Denver. Still on the same roll, and I just uncovered another wheat cent, and it's another pre-30s, the mint mark. It's a 1934 out of Denver. It's not in too bad a shape, too. Next roll, and I see the edge of yet another wheat cent right here. This one is another 1936, but this one's a San Francisco. Wow, I wasn't expecting that one to be old, and now I think we have the 36 P, D, and S. Well, I just finished recording the last clip and looked back down at the roll, and right next to that 36S is another S-minted wheat cent from 1944. Roll 34, and I see the edge of another wheat cent right here. This one's from 1946 out of Philly. Same roll, and I just uncovered another wheat cent from the 40s. This one is a 1947 out of Denver. Roll number 39 is our wheat cent ender, so I'll open the roll, see if there's anything else with it. Don't see anything else in the roll so far, but the wheat cent ender is a 1941 out of San Francisco. There's been a lot of San Francisco wheat cents in this box, and that's always good things to see. Same roll as that wheat cent ender, and we do have another wheat cent. This one is a 1946 out of Philadelphia. Still on the same roll, and a few coins later, we have yet another wheat cent. This one is a 1950 out of Denver. Still on the wheat cent ender roll, and like a couple coins behind that 1950, I just uncovered another wheat cent reverse. Looks like it has some pretty good detail with some red left, and it's a 1952 out of Denver. Still on the wheat cent ender roll, and I just uncovered another wheat cent, and it's another pre-40s with a mint mark. I think it's a 1925 out of Denver, and it has some pretty good detail. Wow, that's an amazing find. Just open roll number 40, and we do have a couple more wheat cent edges that I see. First one is right here. It is 1946 Denver, and the second one I see further back in the roll, right here. This one is 1956 out of Denver. Roll 43, and I see a couple more wheat cent edges. First I see is right here. This one is 1944 out of San Francisco. Then the second one I see is right here. And this one is a 1952 out of Denver. Same roll, and I just uncovered a third wheat cent. And this one is a 1951 out of Denver. Roll number 44, and I see a couple more wheat cents. First I see right here of the date, and it's a 1953 out of Denver. Then the second one I see is a reverse right here. And this one is 1944 out of Philly. Just opened roll 46, and I see a wheat cent right next to a Canadian. Only our 5th Canadian of the box, surprisingly. Just thought we'd get more. That's what we usually do. Wheat cent's a 1945 out of Denver, and the Canadian is a 1990. Same roll. We have another wheat cent. This one is a 1948 out of Philly. Still on roll 46, and I just uncovered the new oldest wheat cent of the box. It's a second-year wheat cent. It's a 1910 out of Philly. Found one of these a couple boxes ago. Now we have another one. That's amazing. Just opened roll 47. It looks like it's going to have multiple more wheat cents, so I'm just going to hunt this one live as well. Looks like most of them were in the back. Just checking if there's any in the front that I missed. And doesn't look like there is. This is our first one. Uppers facing, 1944 from Philly. Then right here, there's a wheat cent reverse, and then there's another one a couple coins later. This one looks a little bit worn. And it is a pre-40s. It's a 1938 out of Philly. It's the first one from that year. Another wheat cent reverse right here. This one is 1944 out of Denver this time. And then, yeah, that one looked like it was, and it is. This one is a 1941 out of San Francisco. And it doesn't look like there's going to be any more. No. So we had 4 wheat cents in that roll. Best one was a 1938 out of Philly. I'm going to live record roll 49 as well because I just opened the roll and I see so many wheat cent edges. This one looks old right here. It's another 1938 out of Philly. Another pre-40s. That's always good to see. And here's a wheat cent edge right here. This one's going to be a 1945 out of Philly. Here's another one here. This one's a 1929 out of Philly. I wasn't expecting that one to be old by the reverse. It's a good surprise. That one's not. Good copper cents in this roll, though, that'll be setting aside. We have one more wheat cent here, and this one looks pretty worn as well. We might get another pre-40s. And we do. It's a 1918. This roll had a wheat cent from the teens, 20s, 30s, and 40s. That's amazing. Penny box has been hunted, so let's go over the finds. We ended up getting 4 1959s, 10 estimates, and 21 2009s. Only got 5 Canadians from 1966 through 1992. We got a few miscellaneous finds. We got that stickered coin in roll number 2. We got this coin with a cross punched through it. And I also pulled aside this 1993 with a pretty decent misaligned die. Not really much value there. And I did pull aside a few really nice 1960 cents, which I'll see if I upgrade my album. Wheat cents, we ended up getting 74 with 16 from pre-40s, including a 1910, 1914, 1916S, 1918, 1918S, 1920, 1925D, 1929, 1932D, which was the lowest mintage with only 10.5 million minted, and I believe that's the rarest wheat cent I've ever found in circulation, so that's awesome. Also got a 1934D, and we got all 1936, P, D, and S, 1937S, and then 2 1938 Phillies. Then the rest were all common 40s and 50s, but I should mention that we did get a lot of San Francisco minted wheat cents, which is always good to see. And then in terms of copper, filled about 1/3 of the jar, which is a little less, but if we add all these wheat cents, I bet that would make a big difference. And compared to the last dump that I found, this one I would argue is better just because we got so many pre-40s, when in the last one we only got a couple. So overall, I think this is the best penny box I've ever hunted.